welcome back to Online Darts, everyone. The people have asked and we've delivered. Matt, you saw the comments, they wanted to sit down, so here we are. First of all, how are things with you? It's been a minute since we caught up.
Yeah, been very busy, but also enjoying life so much at the minute. You know, I've had the opportunity now to do the European tour with the PDC, so I've really enjoyed that experience. I am getting more next year, which is good to know. So I basically on trial this year, they've seen what I've been doing on the Super Series, they've seen how I've been sort of delivering that content, and they went, well, we'll give you an opportunity at a Pro Tour, we'll give you an opportunity at a Women's Series, then it was a Euro Tour, and the feedback I've got has been brilliant, so really excited to develop that partnership a bit more next year. I've got some dates already for next year, so I'm going to be doing a lot more with the PDC, so really looking forward to it, and it allows me to stay involved with the professional side of the game as well. And I've got to say as well, like the reception I got from players, unbelievable. Like it was, I don't want to say overwhelming, but it was down that sort of road, because even people I didn't really speak to too much when I was on the tour for 11 years was coming over and speaking, and you know, this is from players from the very top all the way through, so it was really quite heartwarming as well to know you've got that respect still of the players. So, it was incredible. It really was. Great experience. Loved every moment of it, and can't wait to do some more.
So we're adding you to the list of people that are going to use the "I'm just a commentator" line now, yeah?
I've been using it for a while. I've been using it for a while. You know, I've been doing this job now, just over 2 years. So it's sort of bedding in, and I still get the questions like, if someone had just said, "Are you Matt the dart player?" I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm loose term dart player. I still throw darts every now and then, but I absolutely believe that now that is my life. That's my future. That's my present, and I love it.
Well, that's a good segue into it. We were going to bring this up at some point, but you've touched on it there. Obviously, you put the note out on social media. The injury has flared its head again, which obviously this close to Lakeside, one, can't be a good thing for your prep, but two, your mindset as well, because is this it?
It never went away. It was managed. It never went away. Did I get lazy with the management of it? I'm going to blame myself. I am. I'm going to blame myself. It was my fault. I stopped going to treatment, and the reason I was doing that was probably because I'm taking on more media work. So I'm not really at home as much. I went through a period of time where I wasn't at home for about 4.5 weeks, of which time, if I was proper, I should have found local centres I could have gone to maintain treatment, and I didn't. So I'm going to blame myself for not doing what I was told to do. Now, with that, this isn't the end of the world, in the fact of, like, say, Lakeside's on the horizon. We're, a couple of weeks out now, about 4 weeks or so, 5 weeks or so to go. And I'm currently in a period of rest. At the end of that period of rest, I'm going to have treatment once a week, and I'm going to be having a schedule that manages it. Now, this means I've withdrew from everything. I was going to play the Super Series, I was going to play a couple of tournaments, just to try and get myself ready as I can be. So now getting ready means I'm going to have to go and have practice sessions, so it's done on my terms, and it can be done in a block. Because what I don't want to do is get up at 10 o'clock in the morning to start playing in the tournament and then running through till 6, 7 o'clock at night. It's too much. However, I have a lot of contacts within the sport. A lot of people have reached out to me to say, Matt, come down, we'll have a practice. I'll come to you, we'll have a practice. You know, players that are in the top 16 in the world. So I'm going to have the best practice partners going. So there's going to be no excuses from me here. This is going to be a proper preparation period. It's just not the way I originally planned it. Now, when Lakeside comes around, that's the interesting bit, because you talk about the mental side. That's the bit you lose. That's the bit I've lost, because I don't trust myself. I don't believe in myself in certain situations. I overestimate everyone else's ability by underestimating my own, because I don't feel 100%. And I know I don't feel 100%. So what I've got to do is I've got to get myself to that place, which is a really weird place to go to, where nothing matters but the game. Now, when I was over at the World Masters a couple of weeks back now, I went into that tournament. Day one was fine. I was absolutely happy with everything. Day two, standard was about the same, but I knew it was wrong. So although the output looked the same, it wasn't. And I knew it wasn't right. Now, what you tend to do is instead of thinking, I need to beat this guy, I need to run this, I need to do that, I need to hit this, you start thinking, should I continue playing? Should I be here? Do I stop? These things go through your mind rather than concentrating on the game and what's forward. Lakeside will suit me so much better. It's one game a day.
Yeah.
I can manage that better. Certainly in the early rounds, play one day, you might miss 2 or 3 days. Play another day, you might miss another day. Until you get to the latter stages, it's going to suit me a lot better. I love a stage. I love the backstage sort of war of words. I can't wait to be involved in that again. So I'm smiling, talking about it. I'm excited. I am looking forward to it. It's just going to be different to how I originally thought. But different's not always bad. And this might actually work out better. Because one thing that might happen off the back of this is I might be underestimated. And I know full well that if I turn up and I play my game, I don't think there's a player in there I can lose to. And I say lose to because that's how I think it'd be. I don't think there's someone there that would beat me if I go down and play my normal game. You look at all over the last sort of 10, 11 years I was on the tour, and these people were looking at me on the tour, probably wanting to take that position. And some of them, you look at them and you think you are going to go take that position. So do I find the guy who's on the tour for 11 years and sustain that position? Or do I turn up how I am now and get beat first round? So it's exciting because I don't think I know what's going to happen.
Sounds like Bray Wyatt and The Fiend.
I'm sitting battling myself. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go do this. But I might not.
However, you dodged the other part of the question quite well there.
Yeah, I can never dodge a question with you, Phil.
After Lakeside, is that the end because of the injury reoccurring? That I know last time we spoke, you said, let's manage it, but if it goes again, it's surgery. You didn't want to do that. Yeah. So after Lakeside, is that the end?
Sat here right now, and on the build up to this, I'll tell you exactly what I've said. So it was a conversation me and Connor Scott was having, because we was talking about his journey in darts, my journey, any crossovers we've had. And I said to him, I says, at the end of my match, whichever one it is, I'm going to throw my darts in the lake. There's a lot of famous darts in that lake.
There is.
And I said, imagine being able to play at that venue, know that it's your last. Not many people walk onto a stage like Lakeside and think it's ever the end. Because when you get to a big stage like that, you always think there's going to be more ahead of it. Where I could quite easily walk off there and be content and happy, knowing that, like I say, I'm so happy working in the media. And ultimately, I think that's what I wanted more than anything. So I could come off, throw me darts in the lake, and I've done. And then when I sit down and I think about that decision, I think the worst thing is I keep getting encouragement from places. Like I went to Wales and made a final, I won 2 titles, I made 5 finals on this tour. And I look at it and go, oh, this is going to sound maybe a little bit disrespectful, but I don't have to be at my best to win on that tour.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't have to be at my best to win on that tour. And I can win titles on that tour by not being my best. So do I continue? And then I'm like, I don't know if I can put myself through it no more. So I'm having turmoil and battle with myself. At this point, I'd love to say when I come off, I'm throwing the darts in the lake. I will also say I have got a table which is going to have all of my family and friends on. They are all coming to this, and I've never done that before. My mum's never seen me play darts live.
Wow.
But she's coming to Lakeside. Now, there's probably a reason for that, in the fact that that tells you something without me actually saying it. Like, the fact I've invited everybody down. My auntie, never been to one of my games. She's coming down from Doncaster to come and watch. So, I've got friends, some within the industry, some faces you'll recognise.
Well, I know one that's coming down from the northeast.
Yeah, so there's a few. I'd probably say there's going to be more famous faces on my table than playing in the tournament, which is, again, quite a funny thing to say. But that probably tells you the answer in terms of where I think it is. That I think that could be the last game or the last event I play in, the fact that I'm trying to pull everyone in to watch it.
Are you scared to say it? Are you scared to close the door?
I think I am for two reasons. One, because it's such a tough... Because it's been with me since I was 14, I've been playing. Even though I don't really play much now, I've sort of had a soft out from playing. And as much as I don't want to, essentially, play anymore, because it's horrible on the head when you can't do what you would, or when you get into those modes like I had over in Budapest where you just can't throw the dart correctly no more, and it's frustrating. But then I think, well, is this a forever thing? Can this change? If I have the surgery, would it change, or does it get worse? Do I get even worse than I thought? So there's questions, and then it's like, right, well, I've got a great manufacturer in Mission, and they're like, maybe we could work on a dart that suits a new style of throw. Maybe you've just got to adapt to now. And it's like, well, that's a possibility as well. And then I'm like, but then I don't have time for it no more. I look at my diary for next year. First 6 months of the year are pretty chocker now, because I've now got those dates with the PDC involved.
Yeah.
I've got the dates here with the Super Series. I've got my own bits that I'm doing. I've got bits with Sky at the studios. There's all sorts of bits going on that it just fills it up really quick. So it's like, well, where do I have time to be the dart player anymore? So I would say yes, in terms of I don't think I'll pursue anything beyond this. However, love travelling. I've got great friends. All my friends are from dart. I don't have friends outside of darts. I don't. Like, I've got about two, maybe three friends outside of darts. So all my friends are within darts. So they like to travel about. They like to go to these things. I like to go to some of these countries. So yes, I will say, I think this is it. But don't be surprised if I pop up like in the Philippines somewhere and play a tournament somewhere. That's not me going, right, I'm coming back to playing darts properly. That's me just going, I'm away with my friends.
Yeah.
You know, if you quit pro football and you have a game of Sunday League, it doesn't mean you're not retired. So I would say, yes, that would be it.
That didn't hurt, did it?
No, actually, no. I gave you a very long-winded answer there, but like I say, I think the clues are there in terms of, like I say, I've got a table full of my family and friends. Everyone's going to be there. There's a reason I've done that, and that's probably the answer.
We'll stay on Lakeside because it is, again, it's topical. It flows quite nicely. The position that the seeds find themselves in Lakeside is very unique because it looks as if there's going to be a mass exodus. At least 3 of the top seeds we know are not going. There's a big question mark around another one. One as the player and one as the pundit here. One, does it affect your thought process knowing that potentially 4 of the big guns are going to go and play an Ali Pally? And 2, as a pundit and a guy in the media, the fact there's no deadline on this, that the players have to let the organisation know. Do you find that very strange?
It should be done before the draw, absolutely. You can't do the draw and then change it, but that's a possibility right now. So I don't like that bit. The other thing we've got to remember is that Lakeside this year is running over a 2-year ranking system. It goes back to 1 year after this. This problem only exists this year, I think.
Right, okay.
The problem doesn't just exist there for me. It also exists in the fact that with this 2-year ranking system and with the prize points, there's points, not prize money. I'm sort of jumping between two. With the points people had on that 2-year system, it's meant they didn't need to do anything. Like Neil Duff, Gary Stone, Kaifeng Lang, because they did well a year ago, they haven't needed to play the tour this year, and they'll still be seeded. Now, what happened if Kaifeng Lang got dartitis, Gary Stone broke his throwing up? They're still going to be seeds.
Yeah.
And they can still turn up and be seeds. So I don't like the fact that these points was fixed for that, and then we're seeing the problem with that now. The fact that these players didn't have to do those tours, they could then go off to other tours and they now qualify for something else. You can't juggle both these tours with the amount of travelling that's in play. So I think the 2-year is the victim, has caused this to be the victim within the system. As a player, I think it's great. I wish more of them would go over there. Like, I want all of them gone. You know, when you look at some of the players that are in there, Wesley Plaisier. I don't want to play Wesley Plaisier.
Ben Robb, Leonard Gates.
Absolutely not. Yeah. So, and then the Connor Scott question marks. Which one's he going to go to? Again, I don't want to play Connor. Like, I hope he wins a few more games and challenges for the match play. So that means he'll have to go chase the top 64. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, Connor's the interesting one because I know he was adamant he was going to do Lakeside, but I think that may have softened a little bit. I know certain people were on at him and what are you doing type thing, and that Connor's the interesting one. Look, we know Rob, Gates and Plaisir are going to Ali Pali. It's the Connor situation that is interesting.
Yeah. So I know the answer, but it's not my place to say. So I'm sure Connor's going to let everyone know in due course. He'll certainly let everyone know within plenty of notice of it. But right now, rightly so, he just wants to concentrate on the last couple of Pro Tours.
Yeah, of course.
The Challenge Tours, because that could get him in the Grand Slam. That might even be a factor in the decision, because if he doesn't get in the Grand Slam, that's 5,000 less that'll come off the end-of-year tour card ranking system, whatever they call it. And if that, because he comes away from the 64, then is it a bit of a risk to do Ali Pali? He could quite easily win Lakeside. That's a title that'll follow him around forever. And one thing I'll say about Connor is, and he says it in a way that no one picks up darts for the first time for money. And he's not massively a money-orientated guy. He wants the legacy, and he wants the chance to win that title at Lakeside. It's a title that'll follow him around with the rest of his life. Stephen Bunting, after all these years, gets called onto a stage as Lakeside champion. Even recently, they didn't call him on as the Masters champion, the reigning Masters champion. He was still called on as the Lakeside World Champion. So that also has to be factored. So I could say what I would do, and I could say what I think Connor should do, but ultimately I think he's going to make a snap decision on it.
Does that title still carry the same clout though? I agree with you with the Stephen Bunting factor,
yeah,
and the Glenn Durrant, the Scott Waite, Scott Mitchell, but does it? Because we've seen Andy Bartons, who was incredible last year to win it, doesn't get that same recognition as the others. So does it still carry enough weight and volume to make that decision?
Who makes the title? Does the title make the man, or does the man make the title? I think it's a bit of both. The best winner for Lakeside this year, out the players that are definitely going, for me would be Jimmy Vansky, because he's got a very likeable character, he's very outgoing, he's very good, and he's young, and he could go on to further things where in 5 years' time you look back and go, oh, he won that, and that was a stepping stone. That's where I think it is. I think sometimes you can have a bad winner for certain things. Certainly here at the Super Series, I think we've had winners that maybe it gave them their moment,
yeah,
but it didn't advance the product, or it's not something you look down the line and go, that's going to be something we look back on. Luke Littler goes to Israel, the World Championship. You look back at, well, where's he come from? What's he been doing? And those titles then get elevated.
Yeah, I get that.
So the man and the title elevate each other. I think sometimes with the champion, you can devalue the title a little bit. Plaisier winning the Masters, brilliant for the Masters. We nearly had Plaisier versus Connor Scott in the Masters final. Kai Gotthardt stopped that.
Yeah.
That for me would have made the Masters, because they are the two best players without a tour card. And if those two players are playing in the Masters final, the two best players without a tour card, that system has got what it wants and what it needs. So I think the right person has to win it. I mean, if I win it, I mean, it'll be great, you know. But no, I reckon you need somebody who's going to elevate the title beyond it. Andy Bartons, as good as he was, and as great as he is, and as good as he's played this year, what has he done to highlight the fact that he's the champion?
Well, that's my next question. Because I'm picking Jimmy Vansky here because my instinct says he will go to Q-Score and try and get a card. is that then the same issue? And is that a negative for the WDF that 2 years in a row their champion has then gone on to win a tour card, cleared off, and isn't paraded as the WDF champion across the tour for the year, won't turn up at the Dutch Open, the Masters, the world champion is here? Is that the same issue?
No, I see it as he could go and elevate that title. Like if Andy Barton's got on lots of European tours, for example, if Andy Barton's had a little bit more, like Jimmy Vanski's got a lot of charisma, a lot of personality, where you want to hear from him, you want to see what he's doing. I think if Andy had more of that, he would be paraded more. Yeah, sometimes you've got to start your own parade. No one's going to throw it for you.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And I think Jimmy would do that. I think Jimmy would highlight that title, and then ultimately, that is a bigger pond, a bigger pool, a bigger environment.
No, I get it.
So the idea is actually, if our champion goes over there, it's going to highlight that, and then more people are going to be aware.
No, I get it.
So I think it's a good thing. Like there was Hungry House went on Dragon's Den years ago, and all the dragons turned them down but one because of Just Eat. And they said, this company's bigger than you, doing all this, and the companies were sort of setting off at the same time, one or more restaurants. And I think it was Duncan Ballantyne invested in them. And he said, I saw the other company, Just Eat, as an asset, because they would buy Hungry House, which they did. They absorbed it, bought it in, he had his exit route. I see the same sort of thing here. I never thought I'd do Hungry House to Jimmy Vanski.
It's a great comparison. You pulled one out here.
This is different, isn't it? But I see the same thing, that I actually see the PDC being bigger as an asset to the WDF if they use it correctly, because their champions go in there. Imagine their champion goes over and wins a Pro Tour, gets on all the big stages, gets on the... That is a lot of times that player's going to be... And then, you know what it's like, someone does well, Google searches, what are they going to find? Oh, he's won this. This must be the place where we're going to see people next. This is the NXT of darts.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So I think it could be a benefit if the right person wins it. But I look through the lineup and I think, oh, these are...
Yeah,
there's some players here you don't want to win it. Because, I mean, as much as I'm in the field, I've still got a very punditry head on with it. And I want what's best for business.
Look, it's an interesting scenario as we go into silly season, and we'll stick on the Lakeside theme with, obviously, Beau has been hitting the news again for a couple of reasons. One, her incredible performances that we've seen in winning the Masters and the Women's Series, but two, her comments again that she said she's not looking forward to the Grand Slam, but it's a good opportunity. And she doesn't believe that women can ever compete with men. Obviously, I know that you've studied sports science and everything like this, and it's come up quite a lot. Do you believe that, or is it a case of women have to take themselves out of their comfort zone, practice at a higher level, repetition will get them there? And before you answer, I'm going to use a scenario here because Paige Pauling is quite topical as well, that she's probably the first lady or girl to come through the JDC Academy that has been playing with boys of her own age from a young age, and she's now producing. So it's interesting to see your thought process on this.
What a player, by the way.
Incredible.
What a player. When you look at the future of the ladies' game, it's bright. Ruby Gray, Ruby Gray, quality player. Good. And a lot of good players, female players coming through. So the future of the ladies' game is bright, and maybe that is the carrot that's been dangled with the PDC now, the Women's Series. But historically, Beau's right. We don't have any historical data to argue against that. We can pick up a couple of wins here and there. We can say where they've rivaled players, but not to the level like people suggest. People like, oh, she could get to the top 32. Do you know what? I believe she can. I do believe she can, but if she doesn't believe she can, she can't. And we need a world where Beau Greaves believes like we do.
I get your point with the historical data, and you are correct. But again, flipping the coin on the narrative here, but the fact that the women have never been, from day one, have never been on a level playing field with the men, mainly due to socialism reasons, that they couldn't go in pubs and social clubs when the boom happened back in the day and stuff like this. But if you started a boy and a girl, both aged 10, I'm just picking a random age here, on a level trajectory, and they both did the same things and put themselves in the same environments out of their comfort zones, could that be the catalyst, and could they go head to head and be on a level playing field?
Without going full into biology and getting too boring with it, males are naturally more competitive. So there will always be that little bit where now you do get exceptions to the rules, but very rarely do we get like an ultra. And if you think about across all sport, you know, I think just off the top of my head when people come, I think of Ronda Rousey, but I don't see anyone within darts at the moment that has that. I mean, darts is a very friendly sport behind closed doors. The tour card holders. I mean, if people walked into that room, you wouldn't believe how friendly everyone is with each other. There is no rivalry as such.
Well, there's a few.
There's a few, but you put a brave face on it.
Oh yeah, the fake smile comes out. Yeah,
exactly that. Like I played 11 years, and I think I fell out with 3 people, 3, of which the next day you made up anyway.
Yeah, like
so it's very friendly world. Now, the women's tour, I've commentated on the women's series. That's probably next level of friendliness. So I think it takes that, remember Phil Taylor's mindset, how it was just win that all. Until a female player has that, I don't think we're going to see it happen. And Beau's the closest to it in regards to talent. She is the female Phil Taylor. She's dominating the sport. I think she'll overtake Trina as being most dominant female. But she doesn't have that edge now. She's still very young as well, isn't she? Still very young. She's developing at a good pace. But does it develop to the point where we need her to be able to go, I'm going to be a top 32 in the world?
Well, it's interesting, and I know they get a lot of comparisons, but you've got obviously Beau with that mindset, but then you've got Fallon on the other hand, where she wants to go into that bear pit and be in that environment. And you look at all of her best moments, the wins at the World Championship, the 9-darter, the 170, getting to the quarterfinals of a PDC ranked major, is against the men. So it's really chalk and cheese that you got arguably the 2 at the top of the women's game right now with 2 different mindsets.
Fallon developing as well. Fallon's moving forward. Fallon's getting closer all the time to being the place she wants to be. The biggest thing that it looks like is holding her back, it's not holding her back, but from a perception point of view, is she's not progressing because she's not achieving what she did then. She overachieved when she reached that quarterfinal, when she had that run at the World Championships, when she beat Mensah and she was challenging Chris Dobie. That was sort of an overachievement then, and then she's judged by that overachievement, not the fact that she's better now than she was then. And she is. I believe she's better, and I believe she's getting better. And the way in which she manages things, because you've got to think lifestyles come into play as well. So I think Fallon's better. I think Fallon will get to where she wants to go. I would not be surprised to see her on the Pro Tour, which is ultimately what she wants. She wants that tour card. It's just a case of don't judge her against those one-offs.
No, I get it.
And that is what sometimes is the downfall, because you get held back by your own success.
Just picking this back up because we get the timer on the recording already. Look, obviously we've done the women's, which is great. This weekend, the conclusion of the European Tour, and arguably the best European Tour we have ever seen for so many reasons.
Yes. And do you know what? This is a narrative I hear a lot now. And they'll do it when it comes on this weekend, and they do it when the Grand Slam comes on. They'll go, this is the greatest, like this was the greatest Grand Prix ever. This is the greatest match play ever. How much longer can that narrative be spun? It is. So I obviously work in the punditry role. We've mentioned it now for the last 29 minutes. But with that as well, I think sometimes punditry is getting lazy. Because when the match play come on, oh, well, remember years ago that you could look through the opening round and pick out 7 games where you'd be able to do the winner. Not now. But then you watch it 5 years ago, they said the same thing. You watch it 10 years ago, they said the same thing. Yes, I think the standard's getting deeper, but I don't think it's getting too much better. So what I do think is exactly what you've said there. The stories around the European Tour this year. I think the context has changed. So a couple of years ago, when the Challenge Tour was on, you'd look through and you'd pick out names that you recognised. I recognise this guy because he's been on the tour. I recognise this guy for this reason. And a lot of the players you didn't realise, you didn't know who they were. When now, you won't go through a board on the Challenge Tour where you don't know who someone is because of the Super Series. You know, players like Lee Cox, for example. First one that comes to my mind because he's always on the Super Series, isn't he, every week. So a player like Lee Cox comes to mind, where a few years ago you wouldn't know who Lee Cox was. And if he won a Challenge Tour, you go, oh, who's that? Don't know Lee Cox. Now you go, oh, I know him, he plays Modus. Andy Davidson beat me in the final of the Welsh Open. A few years ago you go, who was that? Guy looks like Alex the Kid. I don't know who he is though. Like, you know, the old Master System game, I've told him that, by the way, so it's not me having a but you now know who he is because of the Super Series. Jim McEwen, Marvin van Velzen. You can reel off names who you now recognise because of that. So I think the context around everything has changed, that people have become more recognisable. Same on the Pro Tour. They get in there after they've been on the Super Series. They get in there and there's now 4 streaming boards. There may be more in the very near future.
You've heard the same rumours as me then.
I said maybe.
Did you see the same testing that I heard about? I mean...
I said maybe. I said maybe be more streaming boards in the future. So I wish you could see Phil's face right there. Like,
no, because I was sent a picture of something, so I know what you're talking about.
So, yeah, there's all sorts of exposure to players that I'm not sure the standards got better. I think the standards become more aware. So, same, we look at the Euros. These players have been there because they've done well on the Euros, which is streamed events. So, yeah, I think we've got a different world that we live in. But I don't see anything in numbers within data to suggest, certainly the top end's no better. I think it's just the bottom end's got a bit deeper.
You're talking about the data, the first 9 averages we saw from Luke and MBG this weekend, when they're 125 to 131, the 3 of them, that is just making darts look like the easiest sport in the world when it's not. And how, as a player here, and as well as you watching them, how high could that first 9 average be?
It can't go any more than this, surely.
I'm asking you, is that?
It can't. It really can't. Because then you're looking at 2 trebles a throw, every throw. And I just think it's unrealistic to think it's going to get any more than that. Human error over such small margin, I can't see it. I can't see it.
This little 3-way rivalry that now seems to... It was 2, but I'm going to put Michael back in there because of the recent work that he's put in, and I know Vincent spoke about it on Viaplay. They've done a lot. He's changed the equipment. I know he was ill for the Grand Prix, so we'll give him that one. But this looks like Michael of old. It looks like Luke and Luke have relit that fire, and we've got a proper little 3-way rivalry here.
It goes on 2 ways, doesn't it? You go to the well and you realise there's nothing there anymore, which wouldn't surprise me, because how can you keep going there? That's why Phil Taylor was so impressive for me, and that's why Van Gogh, what he's done, has been so impressive, because how do you go to that place to find that to find that level, to find that extra, when you don't need to, when you just do it because you want to? It's a different drive, and it's a different drive that you don't understand until you've been there. And you know, there's a lot of times I hear people talk about, oh, if this player had this sponsor and he didn't have this pressure, he would be better. Well, maybe that pressure's what's making him who he is. And sometimes when you don't have that pressure and you don't have that risk and reward. You're not playing a game that means everything to you. You go in a little less hard. So, Michael, fantastic that he can keep going the way he is, and the fact that he's got that hunger to now to go, you know what, I want to take this back from them. But then you look at interviews from years ago from Michael, who said he doesn't want to play for a long period of time. Is this his last challenge? Is it Luke Littler, I want to try and get him beat, I want to take a few more titles away from him and from Luke Humphries, and then I can leave it in their hands, so to speak. So there's a lot of stories, isn't there? A lot of context that you can spin around it. But at the moment, the most consistent, Luke Humphries, by a mile.
What have you made about, especially the comments from the Grand Slam, the Grand Prix, where we were having WhatsApp chats about it, that there was a lot of love for Luke Humphries from players saying that he didn't get the respect that he deserved, and it come up, and then there's people like, oh, but it's this media that are doing it, and now he's... What do you make of the Luke Humphries year today? Do you think he's got the recognition he deserves? And two, the players that are sticking up for him, he's quite a nice thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Gary Anderson, legend of the sport. You know, I once beat him with a 170 finish.
Did you?
Yeah, so yeah.
I didn't know that.
James Wade as well, one of the most successful players in PDC history. So yeah, two great players to have, but they're looking at it from their point of view. And their point of view is, we are in a battle to see who the best dart player is. And Luke Humphries wins. That's the angle they're looking at. They're not taking in the context of everything else around it. Because that is a story, and that's a battle we have seen since darts was created. Who is the best dart player in the world? Every tournament is around. Who is the best dart player in the world? The ranking. Who's the best dart player in the world? It's obvious who the best player in the world. It's the guy clearly at the top by over £700,000, Luke Humphries, and a player who can easily add to that at the back end of this year and potentially break 2 mil. It's an easy conversation to have. There's only so long you can sell being the best for as an interesting factor. Now, there will be people who love that story. Personally, I'm not one of them. Not saying I don't like, I love Luke Humphries, I'm a good friend of mine. But if we was to look at Champions League football, I'm not as interested in Champions League football. I'd rather watch the FA Cup. I'm not as interested in the Universal title. I'd rather watch the Intercontinental belt. You know, so I'm one of those people that like the story and the development of things rather than sort of like the pinnacle of it. So I like buying into this story of this young player we've never had a player this young before on the PDC. We've had players like Michael van Gerwen when he was 17 winning the World Masters, but that was in a different organisation.
Yeah.
An organisation that didn't have Phil Taylor, an organisation that didn't have the best. We've now got the best, and he's beating the best like they're nothing. Like he brushed seasoned professionals aside. And the thing is, when people are talking about Luke Littler, they're talking about the story and the context. And that's where the lines can't get blurred. Because we're not saying, because I'm one who talks quite fondly about Luke Littler, I love the journey, I love the story. We're not saying Luke Littler's better than him. We're not comparing titles, although he's won a lot himself. Luke Humphries by far has won the bigger. And certainly the ranked titles, which for me
got two big ones.
Yes, the two biggest titles, the match play and the World Championship.
Yeah.
So it's not even a debate on that. And those lines can't get blurred of who's the best right now. That's not the conversation. It's just a little bit more exciting when there's this context of all this story. Now, that being said, Luke Littler goes and succeeds. Luke Littler goes and wins the World Championship this year. You watch it turn. Because everyone likes the journey, but they don't like the success story. Then it'll be like, now we want to see him get beat. Who can beat him? Because then the context changes. Right now it's who can he beat, and then it's going to be who's going to beat him. So it's interesting, but you've got to look at the extra factors around it. Absolutely, I agree with them. Luke Humphries, top player in the world, but is in an era where the story isn't about who's the best. Unfortunately for Luke Humphries at the moment. But on the same side, fortunately for Luke Humphries, because it means that he's not sat with a big target on his back all the time. So it depends what way you spin it. I mean, Luke Humphries himself has said he wouldn't like Luke Littler's lifestyle. Luke Littler can't even go to the shop for a paper without being in the paper. So I think it's possibly a good thing for Luke Humphries, and that he can just be regarded as being a qualifier. And I get what they're saying. I think it got misconstrued a little bit when people compared him to Phil Taylor or Michael Van Gerwen. I get what they're saying. They're not saying he's as successful as them. They're saying, as a world champion, we've never had a world champion become dominant after winning the world championships. I can't even remember the last. Probably was Michael, wasn't it?
Probably was Michael, yeah.
The last world champion that went on to have a quality season afterwards.
Michael, yeah.
Where Luke, as a world champion, yeah, top three of certainly the recent ones.
The World Grand Prix, obviously everyone got behind the set play, me included, and it brought up a debate again that is darts too samey. The fact that we've only got 2 set play tournaments, one of them's a double in, which again that's the variant, but from now until the World Championships it's just leg play, leg play, leg play, leg play. The Premier League and the World Series, the lineups almost identical. So is parts of the sport a little bit samey, and does that maybe need to be looked at? Because like you said, we've got a younger audience coming in because of the Littler effect.
Yeah.
We've seen what cricket have done with the 100 and that as well. So is too much leg play too similar? Premier League, World Series, is it all a little bit too samey for the whole year?
There's not much you can do with a game of darts. That's the issue. The board's always the same, the scoring's always the same. You know, nothing really changes too much in regards to the setup. So you can only really differ with the format a little bit. Now, with that, again, putting a punditry head on, you've got to be careful that you don't complicate the sport. Because how many people watch a whole week of darts, every session, every minute? Other than yourself and maybe 5 others. You'll always miss games or miss moments or miss bits. Yeah. Now, with that, if you do something completely different, how many times do you have to explain it within the broadcast of what you're doing? So double start, double finish is quite an easy one because you can always the pictures explain it for you, and you can always reference within the thing. But if you get too complicated with things, how many times does that change? Now, one thing I'd like to see is, I mean, interviews like this, I'm guessing if you're watching this, you're probably between the age of 25 and 35 and a male. Hello. Now, or even older than that, because the reason is you're engaged with long-form content. Not many people do now. Certainly the youngest, the under 25s. If you're under 25, let me know in the comments section. I bet there's not many of you, because they want TikTok. What they want is they want quick form, 10-second bursts, and then they want to be an expert in whatever field it is they watch 10-second videos on. So, and if they're not, they're just going to tell you they are anyway. So that's the younger generation at the moment. So if that's the audience we want to appeal to, then we do need quicker form. That's why WWE have introduced a speed championship, where matches are done in, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and the match has to be in and out, because it's that quick, high pace. I mean, even just explaining this, there'll be someone sat there going, "Oh, that's a minute of my life I'm never getting back." Explained, you know, you've heard it all. And with that, could we now, and is this now the time to revitalise the news of the world?
I suppose there's a couple, and I'll run the 3 by you that I think could work. You've summoned up there, the news of the world, best of 3, Bosch, all the way through. The old Masters set format, best of 3 legs to a set.
Yeah.
2 legs, but 2-0, you won the set. 1 leg, 1,001 shootout. I think they're the 3 that could work.
Absolutely. So I like it, but then I've got to shoot my own idea down as well. How much production does that take for a small period of a game? So a best of 3 match could take 3 legs. So we've got to have a little bit of build-up. We've got to have walk-ons. We play the game, which could be over in 5 minutes. Then we have the da-da-da-da-das and the crowd reactions. Players walk off. They chuck the flights and stems into the crowd. They go off. Little bit of a stats review at the end of that. Walk-ons again. You will watch more production than darts. and the balance of production to darts. I don't know how you change that, because you can't just have the players walk on the side to make it a bit quicker, especially 1,001 one leg. Like, the amount of production that goes in to get the players on the stage so the crowd there have the experience. I don't know how you do it without overproducing. Unless you could have double walk-ons, but then people don't traditionally like the double walk-ons, so it's certainly beyond my pay grade to try and figure out that problem. But that's the problem I see. Like, it's a great idea. I'd love to see it. I think in the modern era that's the way it should go. But I think it's more of a stream than a broadcast, where you don't need the full production values. But I think that's something that would work. I just don't know how to make it work.
You're thinking about this now, aren't you?
Yeah. And I'm trying to think if there's a way you could do it, but I don't know if you could do it in front of a crowd. You know, how long is it going to take? I mean, you could have 2 legs, and there could be like 2 12-dart legs. You watch 24 darts.
Do it in 2-game blocks, where you walk-ons for the first game, and then you do literally, as they're walking off, Johnny Mac's on the stage getting ready to call the next 2 on.
So you don't cut to...
Yeah, you don't have an ad break after you do.
The only downside with that is understanding when to take the players from the practice room.
You have a practice board around the side. So they're already practicing downstairs.
You've already got that. So you've already got the practice board. Certainly at the World Championships, you've got the practice board in the back bit.
Yeah.
But to get the player from there to ramp, you'd have to go after the first. As soon as someone gets a leg, you'd have to wait out on the thing. So yeah, because that's why you've got that break, isn't it? That crossover. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to think it through. Yeah,
this has got you thinking.
It has. Yeah, that would be tricky. That would be the way to do it, but then you're going to ask the players to have a cooling off period from practice to walking on, where they could be waiting a couple of legs out in the audience area. So
I'll let you think about that for a bit more. Going back to the Euro Tour, the first year of the new criteria is done and dusted. How would you assess the change to the criteria for the Euro Tour?
I'd like to see more than 10 qualifiers. I think it's been a bit of a close shop at times. And with that, when you see people like Dimitri Vandenberg not getting through when he's had all the opportunity, it's surprising. With that as well, we've seen people benefit from it. I certainly don't want buys in there again. But, I mean, look at Kim Huybrechts. What a benefit. He was maybe not even in the World Championships.
Yeah, his run's almost guaranteed him a world spot.
Yeah. So that is huge for him. But, yeah, I don't know how you... It's another one of those where it needs ironing a little bit. But, again, way beyond how I can figure that bit out. But I think it'll evolve. You know, it's something that's...
Just your thoughts on year one, how you think it's gone as the...
Needs evolution. It's been okay. I see why they've done it. I would probably do the same if I was them. But I just think it needs a little bit of tweaking here and there just to iron a few bits out. But I think it could be a good system to stay.
World Series dates have been announced for next year as well. No surprises. Were you surprised that we didn't get somewhere new?
Yes and no, because I know these things take time, and we know conversations are happening.
I know that they were deep in conversation with somewhere. Look, there's still a potential weekend free on the calendar. I notice that
you missed nothing, do you?
That something could be put in. I noticed there is a gap potentially for something still to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're saying there's a weekend, if we're thinking about the same place, they're not getting there for a weekend. That's too far. If we're thinking of the same place,
I don't think we are. The one I'm thinking of is transmittable from
right. Okay.
the Oceanic region.
Okay. Right. So, the World Series. When you talk about something that maybe needs to evolve a little bit, that could be it, because I mean I'm judging this from numbers on my own channel. I go on there live before every event, just so we can talk about the night ahead. What do we think is going to happen? What we're looking forward to seeing? Make some predictions, and I'll share some stats because I've got a lot of stats and data and things. So I'll share some of that. So World Series events, I get about 100 to 200 people come in for a World Series event. Grand Prix, 500 plus. World Championships, 500 to 1,000. So the numbers that I'm getting, that's how I sort of gauge interest as well a little bit, and also viewing figures. So it's one of them where you can't rank it.
No.
But it needs something. And because it's just a whole series of unranked events, and maybe the timing of it doesn't suit because it's also in the middle of the Premier League, which is also unranked. So maybe it's just we need more ranked events, and we've got it now with the Masters.
You say the Masters is now ranked,
so that's a benefit, but it just feels like too many, shall we say?
On the Premier League, again, Matt confirmed to us that the format is staying. Were you surprised there wasn't a tweak or an evolution?
Oh, pick 8 players.
For 25?
Pick 8 players now. That's tough.
I think there's 5 nailed on, then it's a shootout between 3.
You've gone 5?
I'm basing that on the top 4 pick themselves, and Littler's not in the top 4, so
right. Yeah.
He gets picked.
Yeah.
That's how I've done my calculation so far.
I think we could get a surprise player in the top 4 as well. You know, you look at people like...
Well, Chisnell's provisionally in the top 4.
Yeah. Chizzy, Damon Heta.
Yeah, he's 5. Johnny Clayton's 6, I think.
Defending next to nothing at the back end of the year. So they've got a free shot over these next few weeks and few months. So a good run there could put them in it. And then you've got another player there because you're not going to pull someone out of the top 4 at the moment. Well, you're not going to pull 2 people out of the top 4 at the moment that's going to be replaced. So yeah. Does it need to evolve right now? Do you know what? I think the Premier League last year was received better. Was that Luke Littler?
I was about to say, was that down to the boom and the crest of wave we were on, or was it a genuine thing?
The next thing is anyone who suggests that the Premier League has run stale now clearly hasn't seen the ticket sales.
And that's what I was saying, when you speak to them, that only one venue out of the 17 didn't sell out completely, and that was the Mercedes-Benz, which is ridiculous size, which is now the Uber Eats Stadium or arena, by the way.
Nice, yeah.
It's not the Mercedes anymore, but that was the only one out of the 17 that didn't completely sell. First time they'd ever sub out the O2 and things like that, and already the O2 sold out for next year.
Right, wow, okay. I knew they were good, but that's... I actually had a friend contact me recently. He goes, are you able to get me tickets? I'm like, it's sold out. Like, where do you think the magic seats for you from? And he went, yeah, there was a couple of seats left, £180 each. 180 quid to go to the darts. I remember going to the World Match Play for a week on a season ticket pass. It cost me 30 quid. I mean, we're talking... No, I also remember Freddo's being 10p.
It's been 84 years.
So, yeah, I get... that's evolution of it. That's good. That's a different audience. Now, is it going to be the same to watch it at home? No, absolutely not. It's Rangers Celtic, isn't it? How many times can you watch it before it becomes less interesting? But some people love elitist sport, and that's what that is. It's elitist sport. It's the best of the best doing it week in, week out. So I think the only thing maybe I'd like to see evolve a little bit is maybe just a little bit more clarification in what they look for.
Yeah.
For a player to play in it. Because right now I think you could make a short list of about 10 or 12 people.
Easily, yeah.
And how do you separate those? It's not what people put in the comment. Oh, it puts bums on seats. The bums are on the seats.
They've sold the tickets already, yeah.
There's a point in sport and in entertainment and in promoting where one thing overtakes the other. And we're there now with darts. Darts overtakes the players. At one point, you needed certain players to sell out in a building. I don't know if you've seen the McMahon documentary.
I've not watched it. I've watched half of it.
Okay, so on that he talks about when he used to have to sell WrestleMania, and you know he's getting Andre the Giant back because he needs that match to sell the arena. The arena will be sold out before a match is even announced because it's got to the point where the event is bigger than anyone who's on the card, and that's the Premier League now. The Premier League is a big enough spectacle that it sells itself without a player even being announced. And let's say, for example, they went, right, we're going to chuck a wild card in there, and we're going to put in, trying to think of someone around number 64, Ryan Meikle. Ryan Meikle's going to be in the Premier League. Are people not going to go all of a sudden? They're going to go because... And I only picked Ryan Meikle because he's around the 64, and I've just done some ranking videos. So, yeah. I know where he is in the rank, and I was thinking someone at the 64 rather than the 4. So the event is bigger than the players. Now, for me, I think the players need to make themselves bigger than the event. So they've got this big spotlight on them now. How do they use that to make themselves bigger? And then ultimately, everyone progresses. So it's now back to the players again, because they've been overshadowed by the event, by the sport. How can they now go and make themselves bigger? How can they use that platform? Because they've got a massive platform here.
We are going deep into Fergie time now. We're going into part 3 of the record. Do you think there's going to be some disappointed people then come mid-January whenever they announce the lineup? Because there could be some household names that probably right now think they've done enough to be in that could be disappointed.
There's always going to be disappointed people, I think, in the Premier League. We've seen people win major titles and not be involved. We've seen people try and differentiate what is a major title. So, yeah, there's always going to be disappointed people, isn't there, when the Premier League comes around. With anything that's selected, there is always going to be disappointed people. Because ultimately, you're not doing it on a ranking, you're not doing it on a merit, you're doing it on an opinion. And wherever an opinion is given, someone else's opinion is going to contrast it. So maybe again that's why we need to have some form of understanding of what we're meant to be judging this by.
2 points on the Premier League before we move on. One, a nice stat for you, and it involves Mike the Decker. No World Grand Prix champion has ever been left out of the Premier League.
Okay, I can throw one back. No winner of a Sky TV broadcasted event has ever been left out of the Premier League. We've had Phil Taylor won the match play and chose to retire, so he didn't do it. Gerwyn Price, COVID, but not through
not being selected. Do you think the Decker gets in?
Under that understanding, I would. But who knows what happens at the back end of the year?
Oh yeah, as we're recording this, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Because if you would have asked me before the Grand Prix, does Mike de Decker play the Premier League? What are you on about, Phil? Mike de Decker's not getting in the Premier League. And now all of a sudden he's in that conversation.
It will be interesting to see what goes on. And back to the Premier League, that I had this idea, and we were chatting about it the other day, that they do it like golf, the race for the FedEx Cup, where at the start of the year they designate 15 events. I'm just using 15 as a number. It could be whatever you want, 10, 12, but you have 15 events, and that is your Premier League race. And at the end of those 15 events, the top 8, top 10 is your Premier League 8. Would you like to see something like that to spice it up? And
absolutely. And it'll give story and context
all year to get to the Premier League.
I was very lucky when I did my first European tour this year. I was very lucky. The reason being, I did event number 12 of 13, so I had the European Championship race to talk about. I also had the Grand Prix to talk about because it was the cut-off for the Grand Prix, event 12. So I was very lucky that I had 2 big major events as spin-off stories to focus on for the players. And what that does is that actually gives you more context to paint the picture of what a good run means for someone. When someone's going deep into an event or someone's picking up wins early on, you go, they're actually getting close to this and this is this. And not all 48 players who played in the event went there with belief that they could win it. They all had different stories, and that allows you to show those stories in a way that the viewer also understands. So some people just wanted to win a game. Some people was happy to be there. Some people wanted to reach the quarter-final because it meant something else. Some people needed to reach a semi because it meant something. Some just needed to at the last day. So some just needed to get out of their seeding position so they earned the money on the rankings. So everyone had different stories. And when you've got that, you are able to clearly show what that is. Now, if you did that across the board, 128 tour card holders aren't going to be affected by that story. You might get 8 or 10 people who are affected by that story. But it gives you more narrative, gives you more context. So yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, can you imagine the pick wherever we were up, but they went into the last event and it was a Euro Tour.
Yeah.
And Michael Smith and MVG were outside and needed 3 wins or something. Could you imagine the Euro Tour story and then that story as well?
Yeah.
It would just be an incredible narrative to spin.
It adds to the event, doesn't it? The Royal Rumble is okay without the WrestleMania main event spot for the winner. If you take that away, but it's then just a battle royal.
The Royal Rumble. It's Mania that's...
The Royal Rumble is so big because of that. The Elimination Chamber now is big because of the spin-off that's getting through to WrestleMania. So the more little extras you can put into the event and feed off of the big event, the Premier League being the big event, can you use that to drip feed through the year? Yeah, absolutely.
Rest of the year looks incredibly busy, incredibly stacked with events starting this current weekend. That the build up to Alexandra Palace this year, you get the feeling it's going to be the biggest we've ever seen.
Yes, and I think someone's going to come off the pace. Someone's going to come off. I'm going to have a deep run somewhere. We see it every year, or every couple of years, someone breaks through. I think we're going to see it in a few different areas in terms of some of the qualifiers. Some serious players. Some serious players in the Pro Tour qualifying side. We've got players in there. Some people catch my eye, and this is a player I never thought I'd be saying catches my eye, but he's someone who I said about a week or two ago, I said, this guy's going to have a run somewhere, and people are going to be surprised. He had a run recently at the European Tour, beat Dobie 6-0. Jermaine Wattimena.
Yeah.
I think he's going to cause a surprise somewhere. You know, that guy gets like the quarters, semis of the Players' Championship finals, and everyone goes, how did he get there? That's going to be him.
It's interesting because obviously players are already speaking about Alexandra Palace. It's now in everyone's minds. It's like that flickers of the mind has gone, right, hang on a minute, it's business end. What's that like as a player?
I tell you what, that's a great feeling. I mean, I had that for Lakeside until the last couple of weeks, and I can't wait to get back on it again so I can start that build-up. It's exciting when you got something on the horizon. I mean, I always got in quite late, so I never really had the full excitement of the build-up. But I tell you, times are changing where, you know, a week doesn't feel that long anymore, 2 weeks, a month, to the point where, you know, people are already thinking of Christmas. We've not had Halloween yet. I mean, I'm surprised you haven't got your decks up yet. The tree's probably out.
Have you not seen my Instagram story of driving down here today?
Right, okay, the tree's out, is it?
The playlist was on in the car driving down.
Right, okay, there you go, yeah. So, and that's the thing, like, it doesn't feel that long away. You look at it in time-wise and everything, but actually when you've got things in between, when you're busy, and it's like, well, I've got that, it creeps up on you without you even realising. So it's exciting for those players that are involved. I do envy it a bit, but I say I envy it, but I guarantee if I had to go up there and play now, I'd probably be physically sick because of the lack of belief. But for these guys that are playing all the time, I envy that excitement that they're going through because it's life-changing. The amount of money that's available in one short hit, you know, a couple of wins, and that's your year done in regards to not have to worry about my tour card. I've got another year now. I don't have to worry about trying to hold on to that. You have a deep run. Okay, now I'm pushing towards top 32 or top 16. The level of engagement with that tour, you know, from the numbers that we see, you know, the amount of eyes on, and then sponsorships, the conversations that you have with certain companies and the level of it, it's mind-blowing. People look at it and they see the prize money, but that's a very small part of what really goes on during that tournament.
On the World, I know Matt's teased it a few times, it looks as if 128 is on the horizon. I don't think it's going to be too far. It may coincide with a new TV deal that we know is up after this year's World Championships and so on. Is the world ready for 128? We know, obviously, trying to get a ticket is like trying to land on the moon at times. Are we ready for 128 players at the Worlds?
Now, yes. I don't think we was before. I think some of the development systems still need developing, but can we have 128 players now without watering down the field? Can we find 32 more players without watering down the field? I think we can. I really do. Where they come from, I don't know. I know CDC is a very big hotbed of talent at the moment. Where do you get the rest of the players from? Good question. I've asked it myself and then I answered it with, yeah, so I congratulated myself on my own question. So, yeah, where you find those from? I know that a lot of people say, oh, look on the Challenge Tour, but I don't agree with that, to be perfectly honest. So, and then can you really just put more tour card holders? What do you do? Expand from 32 to 40 maybe? It's a tricky one where you pick them from. So, again, that'll be a decision people well beyond my pay grade, but I'd like to see it.
Where are you getting your 32 from then, if you've answered your own question?
I mean, I think tour card holders have to take a big priority.
So out of the 32, are we saying 8, a quarter going to...
I'd say minimum 8, yeah, minimum 8. I mean, the idea is you probably put these extra places in to have more territories, aren't you, and bring more people in.
So potentially another couple to North America, Asia, Australasia...
Yep.
Oceanic, the women's series perhaps, I think, because Beau's causing an issue, that it was celebrated that 3 women were going to be the World Championships from now on, and since that first one we've only had 2 because of the way the rules are written, so yeah. I think we could easily have 4 women that are good enough to compete.
Oh, it's certainly going that way, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Maybe another... I'd rather... This is probably going to annoy a few people, but I'd probably highlight the development tour rather than the challenge tour. For me, the challenge tour is made up of players that couldn't get onto the tour this year.
Yeah. Where
the development tour is younger players. Now, the downside of that obviously is you have tour card holders drop in and play there, don't you? So.
Well, that's. Look, I think the PDC have done a great job at closing most loopholes, but there's still one in the Dev Tour. And Keane Barry's kind of highlighted it at the moment because he's in the World Championships through the Dev Tour, not his PDC Tour, Pro Tour order of merit because he's outside. And if his tour card's not in danger, but I'm playing devil's advocate, if it was, he potentially saves his tour card from a development tour, which those other 128 players can't play on. So there's still loopholes there.
Yeah, I would close that by just saying anyone who qualifies for a major event via...
money doesn't go on your ranking.
Yeah. They did it to Glenn Durrant when he qualified through the BDO for Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So that should be in all. Let's put it this way. Beau Greaves gets a tour card. World Championship, Grand Slam every year. Going to be in both. It's too good not to be. 12.5 grand. 2 years, 25 grand. That's without winning a game at either of those events. £25,000 before
you've thrown a dart.
Has thrown a dart as a tour card holder. That is a big advantage to have. That's winning a Pro Tour and making a final.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage over anyone else.
That's just getting level.
Yeah.
And that's without Beau winning a game at any of these stages. So imagine now wins 1 game at Ali Pali on both of those years. That now becomes 40,000.
Then you only need to find roughly another 25 grand across 2 years to keep your tour card.
Exactly. And to me, that's the biggest loophole at the moment that Lisa Ashton came close to exposing.
Yeah. She only just lost her tour card.
Yeah.
Again, the same principle applies with the women's series to the Dev Tour.
But I believe if you have a tour card, you should only have access to ranking money via the same route that everyone else. It doesn't matter what country you're from, or your gender. That shouldn't matter. What it is, well, we've both got the tour card. We get 34 Pro Tours, we get 14 European Tours, etc. Anything else that I gain from a different route does not affect this pot on the rankings. But we could see people lose cards off the back of it. But again, you won't see it change until it happens.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's hard to foresight that. We foresight this
You
stuff.
can highlight the issue, but until it happens, it's not an issue.
Yeah. And we see it because we're boring and we study darts 24 hours a day. So we see all this stuff, but ultimately the people that they see darts, but they see a different side of it, and we do. So we're looking at this from a fan's point of view. What would make it the best 128? How does it become the best? Where that's maybe not the thought process until a problem arises. You know, the Titanic. You didn't need a lifeboat
because it was
for
an unsinkable ship.
Yeah. And then now you can't have a ship go out without a lifeboat for everybody because a problem happened. Oh, that is a problem. Let's make sure it never happens again.
Last one before I let you go. The Netflix documentary from Matchroom. They've been at the darts. They were at the Grand Prix. How big is this for the sport that Netflix are doing behind the scenes?
Yeah, massive. I think everything Netflix have touched at the moment is turned to gold. So interesting. It's an interesting collaboration as well, isn't it? And like you say, like TV deals are up and things. And
how did you come to that thought, Matthew?
It's an interesting thing. Like I just look at what's happened before. You know, wrestling's moving to Netflix, and they do a documentary before it moves over on Mr. McMahon, and then all of a sudden Netflix are going to take it. So maybe they're telling us something.
Matt, it's an absolute pleasure. We've gone on for nearly an hour and 20 minutes.
Record.
A record time, Matt. Yeah. Thank you very much as always.
No problems.